Why did Predator seem so much more genuine than other action movies of its time? Arnold Schwarzenegger has told us the shocking secret behind how lifelike the movie looks. And it's not what fans thought it would be. His behind-the-scenes knowledge gives us a whole new look at the classic. Get ready for shocking new information that could transform how you watch Predator for good. This isn't just facts about movies. For fans of action movies, this is a game changer. The return that no one saw coming. Arnold Schwarzenegger is 78 years old and has just made a stunning return to the Predator franchise after over 40 years. And this reappearance has revealed a treasure trove of mysteries that most fans didn't know about. Arnold and filmmaker Dan Trachtenberg had breakfast together not so long ago, and what they made has shocked the cinema world. The famous action star is back as Dutch Schaefer in an animated epilogue for Predator. Killer of Killers, making this his first appearance in the series since 1987. But that's only the start of this amazing narrative. It's interesting how Arnold's reappearance has brought up so many memories and new information regarding the first movie. Arnold has been unusually open about things that transpired during production in recent interviews and conversations about his return. These are things that studio execs surely wish had stayed buried in the jungle. The timing could not be better. Predator Badlands will be in theaters in November 2025, and Arnold may return for more live-action roles. The Austrian oak has been feeling nostalgic and surprisingly chatty about the movie that made him an action icon. But what Arnold said recently is much more than a conventional Hollywood war story. These are the kinds of mysteries that make you want to see the movie again right away. We're talking about hidden messages, production problems, and creative choices that changed the course of movie history. The scene with the scorpion that altered everything. The scorpion sequence is one of the most underestimated parts in Predator. Let's talk about it. You know, the one where Dutch is crawling through the forest and sees a scorpion. Most spectators undoubtedly assumed it was just another problem in the jungle. But Arnold just validated what movie experts have been guessing for a long time. This sequence is a great bit of narrative that shows what the Predator is really like. The scorpion is like the Predator, which kills without thinking. The Predator doesn't hunt because it's a bad guy, just like a scorpion doesn't sting because it's bad. Arnold has said in recent talks that director John McTiernan was very interested in these symbolic moments. McTiernan used the scorpion scene to indicate that the Predator makes sure that every kill is quick and not too painful. It's not hurting its victim. It is hunting with its own twisted sense of right and wrong. This new information changes how we should think about the whole movie. The Predator is a warrior who follows old ways of hunting. Knowing this, every time Dutch and the Predator talk to one another throughout the movie has a new meaning. Arnold also said that this sequence was filmed in some of the worst weather conditions ever. There were genuine scorpions, spiders, and other hazardous animals all around the Mexican forest. The crew had to keep an eye on their gear for nasty surprises, and Arnold himself ran into a few real scorpions while filming. Even more interesting is that this sequence almost didn't make it into the final cut. Some studio executives thought it made the movie go too slowly, but McTiernan battled to keep it in. Thank thing he did, since now it's one of the most intellectually deep scenes in action movies. The secret that made Dutch who he was: smoking cigars. This is something that will blow your head. Arnold smoked cigars all the time when filming Predator, and it wasn't simply because he liked them. Recent news from behind the scenes says that the smokes were a big element of making Dutch's character. You can see Arnold smoking between takes in The Unseen Arnold Schwarzenegger, a behind-the-scenes feature on the Predator Special Edition Blu-ray. But most fans don't know that this practice had an effect on some of the movie's most famous scenes. Arnold said that smoking cigars helped him get into character. Dutch needed to be a calm, collected leader who could think clearly when things became tough. Arnold used the practice of smoking cigars to get into that frame of mind. It was method acting at its most surprising. But this is when it becomes very intriguing. The cigars were very useful on stage. There were a lot of mosquitoes and other bugs in the bush where they were filming. The smoke from the cigar kept bugs away. Keeping bugs away from Arnold's face when the camera was near to him. This level of attention to detail was also shown in other parts of Dutch's character. Arnold worked hard with the costume department to make sure the look was real. Dutch's tactical vest and weapon choices all had a reason. There was nothing random. Arnold's cigar habit also changed how he acted in the iconic mud scene. He realized that Dutch had to be smart and calm enough to conceive of utilizing mud to hide. The cigar smoking sessions helped him get into that strategic way of thinking. It's interesting how this minor thing affected Arnold's later action parts. Characters like the Terminator and John Matrix from Commando show Dutch's cool, calculated style. Those cigars really helped Arnold become the action hero he is today, and the mandible mystery that started it all. James Cameron made the Predator's most famous feature virtually all by himself, yet most fans don't know this. Arnold recently told the story of how Cameron's offhand observation on a plane flight turned into one of the most well-known alien designs in movies. Think about this. Cameron and Stan Winston, a master of special effects, are on a plane together, coming up with ideas for how the Predator should look. "Hey, Winston," Cameron adds, "I always wanted to see something with mandibles." That one sentence started a design revolution that is still having an effect on science fiction today. Arnold said that when he first saw the Predator design with its unique mandible jaws, he knew they had something exceptional. The mandibles looked stylish and had more than one use. They made the Predator's speech patterns different and gave the character that clicking sound that became his trademark. This gave the creature a strange, foreign, and primeval look. But here's the crazy thing. The mandibles appeared like they were from a distant world. Early concept art featured many jaw shapes, from designs that looked more like insects to more complex bone formations. The final design had the right mix of scary and useful. Arnold also told stories about how the mandibles changed the way the actor acted. The fact that the Predator had such a complicated mouth structure changed how the human characters acted around it. Every look of fear and disgust was based on what they thought they were witnessing. The mandibles also made filming harder in ways that weren't planned. Kevin Peter Hall, who played the Predator, had to learn how to show emotion and talk through this complicated facial prosthetic. It's like acting out Shakespeare while wearing a hard-to-understand mask. It's truly amazing how those mandibles changed other science fiction works. There are a lot of movies, TV shows, and video games that have alien designs that show their DNA. One offhand remark from James Cameron changed the way we think about aliens who hunt. The firing that rescued the film. But Arnold recently confirmed this secret. The first Predator movie was almost a total failure. And it needed getting rid of a big actor to preserve the movie. We're talking about Jean-Claude Van Damme, who was first chosen to play the Predator species. Van Damme was contracted to do the alien hunter's physical actions, but there was one hitch. He was too proud to be able to work in the complicated costume. Arnold said that Van Damme constantly moaning about the suit, asking for adjustments, and generally being hard to deal with. Van Damme's insistence that the Predator should be more like a martial arts fighter, kicking and hopping around like a ninja, was the last straw. He utterly overlooked what made the beast scary. The Predator isn't meant to be showy. It should be planned, careful, and completely different from everything else. Arnold said that everyone in the cast was getting angry with how Van Damme was acting. Here they were, fighting through harsh jungle conditions, sweltering heat, and dangerous animals. Van Damme was also throwing fits because his costume didn't show off his martial arts skills. The choice to let Van Damme go and hire Kevin instead. Peter Hall changed the game. Hall gave the part a whole new vigor. He was 7 feet 2 inches tall, which gave him the strong physical presence the character needed. More importantly, he knew that the Predator's strength stemmed from being strange and enigmatic, not from spectacular fighting maneuvers. Arnold said that Hall's way of playing the character affected how all the other actors played their parts. Knowing they were up against this huge, methodical predator impacted how they walked through the jungle, how they spoke their lines, and how they acted when the predator was around. This shift in casting literally rescued the movie. What if Van Damme had stayed and made the Predator into a space ninja? The whole franchise would have been very different and certainly not as successful. Nuclear news that no one expected coming. Arnold recently spilled a surprise about the Predator's self-destruct sequence that most fans completely missed. You remember the famous scene where the Predator turns on its nuclear self-destruct? Even the most die-hard fans haven't worked out what this means on a deeper level. Arnold said that the sequence when the predator kills itself isn't only about how much of a sore loser it is, it's also the creature's last act of respect for Dutch. The predator knows that Dutch has shown himself to be a worthy opponent, and the nuclear explosion is supposed to give him a noble death next to another fighter. This interpretation radically transforms how you see the last scene of the movie. The predator is giving him a warrior's death. In the creature's culture, the best thing that can happen to someone is to die in war. The self-destruct gadget is basically a funeral pyre for two brave soldiers. Arnold said that this idea changed how he played Dutch's reaction to the countdown. Dutch was running away from an explosion and saying no to the predator's offer of a warrior's death. He values survival over honor, which is very human and very different from what the predator values. The chopper that saves Dutch in the end also means something fresh. Kevin Peter Hall, who played the predator, also played one of the helicopter crew members. In a strange way, the predator wants to murder Dutch and saves him at the same time. This shows the duality of the warrior culture. This nuclear revelation gives the movie a philosophical depth that would have been missing from a typical action movie explosion. Predator is better than other 1980s action movies because it tells its tale in a subtle way. It's even more interesting to see how this idea changed later movies in the series. The idea of honor among warriors came up a lot, and there were moments when humans and predators worked together to fight mutual enemies. Brutal filming and stunt challenges in the wild. Arnold recently talked about how hard it was to make Predator. He said it was more like being on a real military mission than filming a movie. The actors and crew had to deal with temperatures exceeding 100 degrees, suffocating humidity, poisonous snakes, swarms of mosquitoes, and the constant threat of tropical sickness while filming deep in the Mexican forest. A few people had to go to the hospital, and everyone was taking anti-malarial drugs just to keep going. The agony, suffering, and tiredness you saw on film were real, not acting. They were real. The weather made things very hard for the cast. Jesse Ventura had to deal with dysentery. Carl Weathers had to deal with excruciating jungle rot. Arnold himself fought through great tiredness, while still working out every day to keep Dutch's body in shape. The heat made the makeup melt, so the team had to keep putting it on, and they often had to hurry to get the shots before the weather stopped them. Arnold also talked about alarming things about the stunts and physical demands, many of which would not be allowed today. He did risky falls with little safety gear and crossed rivers that were raging. They had to spend hours putting mud on for the camouflage effects. The famous get to the choppers scene was filmed while Arnold was running through thick forest with heavy equipment. He was really tired when he said the line. Predator was so real because it included severe conditions, perilous stunts, and constant physical strain. Arnold thinks that this pain changed Dutch. Arguably one of his more credible parts. The shoot itself became famous in Hollywood for changing the way actors and crews were ready to go to make things look authentic. The red rubber chicken that came close to ruining everything. Arnold loves recounting this tale now, although he probably didn't find it funny while it was being made. The crew called the first Predator design the red rubber chicken since it was so terrible. And that nearly ruined the whole movie. The creature looked very different before it got the famous Predator look that we all know and love. The first test film showed this strange extraterrestrial that looked more like a cheap Halloween costume than a scary hunter. Arnold said that when they initially saw this design, everyone in the cast was scared they were making a terrible B-movie. Different effects artists made the first design. And it had a lot of serious technical issues. The suit was too big, the actor couldn't see well, and the whole thing looked more silly than scary. Arnold said he was quite worried that people wouldn't take the movie seriously because of how silly the monster looked. It cost a lot of money and was hazardous to throw out the original concept and start afresh. They were already well into making the creature when they noticed it wasn't working. Studio bosses were worried about going over budget, and other workers just wanted to make do with what they had. Stan Winston came to the rescue and made the great design we know today. Arnold said that the change was so big that they had to shoot many of the Predator scenes again. This big change in the middle of production is what you see in the finished movie. The red rubber chicken incident became a warning story in Hollywood, discussing how important it is to get the monster design perfect from the start. Arnold said that this experience led him to work on creature design for other projects later on. What I find most remarkable is that this almost disaster made the final result better. Stan Winston and his team learned from the mistakes they made when they initially tried to make the Predator design, so they had to start over. This creative problem led to the design we all know and love today. The handshake that ruined the internet before it even existed. The spectacular handshake between Arnold and Carl Weathers is one of the best parts of Predator. But Arnold recently told the amazing background behind this famous incident that people are still talking about decades later. The sequence with the handshake wasn't supposed to be as passionate as it turned out to be. Arnold and Carl Weathers were only supposed to say hello to each other like old friends from the military. But both actors added their own competing spirit to the scene, and it turned into something far more compelling. Arnold said that he and Weathers worked out a lot together to get ready for that scenario. They wanted their characters to seem like real soldiers who had stayed in great shape. The handshake became a way for two alpha warriors to show that they respected each other. That one handshake had a huge effect on action movie culture for decades after. Arnold said that at the time, they didn't know how famous the moment would become. Many movies and TV series have made fun of, referenced, or paid tribute to it. It was harder than you might expect to film the handshake from a technological point of view. The angles of the camera. To get the intensity of the moment, the lighting and timing had to be just right. Arnold said that they did more than one take to get the grip strength and the looks just right. This handshake also set the standard for how action heroes should greet each other on television. It's about warriors having respect for each other, being strong, and understanding each other without saying anything. You may see its effects in action movies from the 1980s and later. Arnold said that fans still come up to him and ask for the Predator handshake, and he is always pleased to give it to them. It's one of his most famous lines, along with "I'll be back" and "Get to the chopper." The handshake sequence is a great example of what makes Predator so great. Not merely about the creature from space. It's about the strength of people, the relationships that grow between soldiers who are up against insurmountable odds, and friendship. The secret links that tie Predator to Arnold's whole career. Arnold has talked about some interesting links between Predator and some of his other famous performances that most people have never thought about. And the creative choices they made on purpose that indicate how Predator changed Arnold's whole approach to making action movies. The way the Dutch thinks strategically in Predator had a direct effect on how Arnold played the Terminator character. Both characters are careful, logical, and able to change their plans based on what their opponents are poor at. Arnold said that he consciously used everything he learned from playing Dutch to play the robotic assassin. Arnold's later movies, such Commando and Raw Deal, also have survivalist themes, just like Predator. Arnold learned how to play a character who was really suffering against tremendous circumstances instead of merely being an invincible Superman while shooting Predator. What really interests me is how Arnold's experience on Predator changed how he worked with groups of actors. Is part of a team, and Arnold learned how to be the leader without taking over every scene. The Expendables series is a good example of this kind of balancing. Arnold also said that the psychological aspects of facing an extraterrestrial hunter affected how he played characters who cope with supernatural or sci-fi threats. Arnold's characters react to real threats in the same way as Dutch does when he is afraid and respects the Predator. Predator's tactical outfit and realistic military style set a benchmark that Arnold kept up with throughout his action career. He was recognized for making sure that his movies have real weapons handling and real military advice. Arnold's following comedy roles were much better because of his work on Predator. He learned a lot about timing and physique while working in the jungle, which benefited him in movies like Kindergarten Cop and Twins. Predator was a hit around the world, which helped Arnold in ways that his other movies didn't. It showed that he could star in a movie that people all around the world would want to see, which was very important for his later career as a blockbuster star. The secret of sound design that made an icon. Arnold recently told fans about some amazing things they didn't know about the Predator's characteristic clicking sound. This was actually a carefully made sonic signature that took months to get just right and used some surprisingly clever methods. Sound designer Alan Robert Murray made the clicking sound that we all know as the Predator's speech by employing a mix of strange sources. Arnold said that the team tried out a lot of different sounds, such as the sound of lobster shells clicking together, modified recordings of castanets, and even the sound of people clicking their mouths via different filters. This is even more interesting because Arnold worked closely with the sound team to find out how these audio cues would affect his performance. Dutch's reaction to hearing these sounds in the forest was affected by the fact that the predator communicated through clicks and electronic sounds. Arnold said that while they were filming, they employed temporary clicking sounds on site to let the actors know when the predator was meant to be talking. Even though the final sound design will be implemented later, this helped the human characters react more realistically. The sound effects for the thermal vision were also new and interesting. The unique electronic buzzing you hear in the predator's heat vision scenes wasn't made with synthesizers. It was actually recorded electromagnetic interference from different electronic devices and then changed to make that strange sound. Arnold said that the sound design team spent weeks in the jungle capturing real environmental noises that would be layered under the predator's sounds. They carefully recorded every insect chirp, wind ruffle, and water drip to make a realistic audio world. The best aspect is that the predator's sounds increase louder and faster when it gets more excited or scared. Arnold said that this audio sequence was meant to sound like how creatures who hunt in the wild act. Their voices fluctuate depending on how they feel. It's amazing how this sound design changed the whole franchise. These original clicking patterns have been used in all of the Predator movies that came after them, developing an auditory identity that lasts for decades. Arnold's recent return to the brand meant he got to hear these iconic sounds combined with new audio technology. Arnold said that fans often make the Predator clicking sounds when they see him on the street because the clicking has become so famous. It's as well known as any of his famous movie lines, showing that good sound design can be just as memorable as good visual effects. The deleted scenes and the long makeup session. Arnold Schwarzenegger has said that Predator initially had a lot of deleted scenes that would have changed the movie's depth and breadth altogether. These scenes showed Dutch's troubled past through nightmare memories of failed military operations. This made his character more interesting and similar to the Predator's own hunting history. Other deleted scenes portrayed the creature's long history on Earth, with old weapons, bones, and dog tags from missing troops hinting at a terrifying history of systematic hunts for exceptional warriors. The cuts kept going. A subplot revealed Predator technology blocking Dutch's calls for help, while long shots showed the creature watching the squad from a distance, knowing their strategies and weaknesses before attacking. Dutch's connection with Anna, the captive guerrilla fighter, was also supposed to be more developed so that he could show off his leadership and planning skills more. In the end, these scenes were cut for pacing and to make the plot flow better, but this also took away layers of character development and backstory. Arnold also talked about the hard effort that went into the makeup and prosthetics, which almost stopped production. The jungle's heat, humidity, and incessant bugs made putting on makeup every day a test of endurance. For the camouflage scene, Arnold had to spend hours getting covered in a special mud combination. Kevin Peter Hall, who played the Predator, had to wear prosthetics for up to 8 hours at a time, which made it hard for him to breathe and see. This showed how dedicated he was to the part. The cosmetics crew was equally as dedicated. They worked around the clock in the tough circumstances of the jungle, and sudden rainstorms often made them lose whole days of work. They also came up with new ways to make thermal vision effects that needed unique pigments and materials. These new ideas changed Predator's image in a way that will never be forgotten, and they also pushed the movie industry forward by changing the way prosthetics and makeup are designed for decades. The cutscenes and amazing VFX show that Predator was much more than a regular action movie. It was a violent but groundbreaking show that changed the way its genre worked. Arnold never forgot the weapon workshop. Arnold recently told some amazing stories regarding the weapons training and planning that went into Predator. These stories showed a degree of military realism that most fans didn't know existed. This was real military training that impacted how Arnold acted in action parts for the rest of his life. The company engaged real military experts to give the whole group a lot of training in how to use firearms before filming started. Arnold said that they spent weeks studying how to use all the weapons in the movie, including assault guns, explosives, and survival knives. Arnold was really interested in learning how to hold the weapons and how to take care of them, load them, and fix them when they broke under stress. Arnold felt that Dutch needed to feel like a real soldier, and that real weapon handling was important to making the character believable. The M134 minigun that Blaine takes around is a real gun that needs specific training to use responsibly. Arnold said that Jesse Ventura, who plays Blaine, had to work hard to build up his upper body strength so he could authentically hold the rifle during action scenes. Arnold said that they practiced using their weapons to maneuver and fight like soldiers, learning how real special operations teams would get around in the jungle. This training had an effect on how each person did their job and how well the whole team worked together during combat scenes. Military combat instructors have to teach the knife work to the soldiers. Arnold learned real knife combat moves that would look good on camera and be safe to do while filming. In the iconic scene where Dutch makes weapons out of things he finds, he uses actual survival skills. It's pretty cool that Arnold used what he learned about weaponry in his later action movies. He learned how to handle guns correctly on the set of Predator, and he used those same tactics in all of his action scenes, which separated him apart from other action actors who depended more on special effects. The training for explosives was especially hard. Arnold and the cast studied how real military demolitions work, such as when to do them, where to do them, and how to be safe. Dutch uses guerrilla warfare techniques against the Predator in these moments because he knows how to do it. Arnold said that the military experts were impressed with how quickly the actors learned how to use real weapons. They had learned how to memorize lines and hit targets in Hollywood. But this was the first time a lot of them had mastered real military skills. The weapons workshop also taught the characters how to survive without their gear, which changed how they acted when they were alone. Arnold gained actual jungle survival skills that helped Dutch be clever throughout the movie. It's extremely cool that Arnold still knows how to use some of these weapons decades later. His recent return to the Predator franchise showed that he hasn't forgotten how to act like a real soldier, which is what made Dutch such a believable character. Arnold is helping to shape the future of the franchise. Arnold's return to the Predator franchise is definitely a tribute to the past. It's making the way for a whole new age. Arnold said that Dutch's story could finally be expanded after meeting with director Dan Trachtenberg. The plot could illustrate what Dutch has been up to since his jungle confrontation 4 decades ago. Has he been getting ready for the Predators to come back, or has he been hunting them all along? His comeback links the 1987 classic to newer movies like Prey and Badlands and gives him an opportunity to share what he's learned as a grizzled veteran. Arnold is more than simply a cameo at 78. He is actively guiding the franchise's future by giving advice on storylines, keeping the main ideas alive, and even hinting at the possibility of live-action versions. This is all about paying tribute to a classic and changing the future of Predator. Arnold's insights regarding Predator indicate that the film was far more than simply typical 80s action flick. The movie was a blend of suffering, ingenuity, and teamwork that made it a classic. It had hidden meanings, like the scorpion sequence, and terrible stunts that pushed genuine human limitations. Arnold's sustained engagement in the franchise at age 78 shows how much he cares about the story and its legacy, and it also helped shape its future. What is your favorite Arnold discovery from this video? Please leave a comment below to tell us which secret shocked you the most.